Hi everyone, and welcome to Boogie Mama Riffs. Today, as you've been expecting, we're doing a review of the 1979 Led Zeppelin concert at Knebworth in England. And thank you for the people who've watched this and looking forward to doing this review for a while. The first thing I wanted to say is not some myths about the concert, but some of the things that people have said about the concert. Is the obvious ones are, some people like the Knebworth concerts. There was 2 live performances in 1979 in Knebworth, and there's mixed reviews. Some people think they're good, some people think they're great, some people think they're not so great, but I personally think they're good. The background of it is Led Zeppelin were touring in 1977 and in America, and they received, some people say it's bad karma. I personally don't think that. All I think is, Robert Plant had a car accident, and Jimmy Page's daughter was in the car accident, and Rob Plant's wife, Maureen, was in that car accident as well. And when they were on holidays, it just happened. Then all of a sudden they recorded an album, Presents, picked up the pieces of the band, went to America, did an awesome tour. If you ever see some of those, or can hear some of the bootleg audios of 1977 Zeppelin, they were cool, man. That was cool. And then they received the bad news that Robert Plant's son died, and the tour was just cancelled. The rest of America tour in 1977 was cancelled, and they went back to England, and John Bonham apparently attended the funeral with Robert Plant and his family, and I'm not sure. There's some sort of conjecture about Pagey and Jonesy not going to Rob Plant's son's funeral. Who knows? I guess you'd have to live in the spotlight and the paparazzi to know. Who knows? If the whole band went there, it might have taken the focus off Robert Plant's son, Carrick. So who knows? And so we're talking about the Led Zeppelin 1979 tour. Apparently, Peter Grant, and he was the band's manager, was waiting for a couple of years. It had been 2 years, and they actually recorded Presents. They went on tour 77, and they recorded in Stockholm, Sweden, I believe, or is it Zurich, Sweden. They recorded In Through the Outdoor, and that was a great album in my opinion. One of the best Zeppelin albums, dare I say it. But it was very heavy on the keyboards and melodically and emotively in the vocals, but I just think In Through the Outdoor was one of their best albums, 100%, and I'm going to be bringing out a review soon on the rankings of a Zeppelin album. I don't think I could ever do a rankings of Zeppelin songs, because that changes daily, but I'm going to do a ranking soon of Led Zeppelin albums, so watch out for that. And Led Zeppelin recorded In Through the Outdoor, and apparently Pagey and John Bonham used to play at night, and Jonesy and Rob Plant used to record in a more respectable hour. But somehow it all came together. They got the album In Through the Outdoor, and apparently Peter Grant, who was their manager at the time, Zeppelin had created Swan Song Records, and they signed some artists like Bad Company, etc., and Maggie Bell, I think it was, and they decided to do this concert of all concerts. Whereas if some of the people have seen this concert would know that their memory of it is Jimmy Page was sweaty. He had a cool blue shirt, and Jimmy Page was kind of sweaty during the concert. Well, yeah, in my opinion, man, was he on something? No judgment, maybe, but it's hot. As a musician myself, when you're playing under those lights and you're playing, it's hot. Okay, people sweat. Have a look at Angus Young from AC/DC, man. He sweats. Musos sweat while they're playing. So anyway, Jimmy Page was sweaty and a bit skinny, but man, no judgment. To me, that guy is cool. And also, say Robert Plant was apparently nervous about doing the Knebworth concert.
Thank you. That was a track from the new album.
Happy birthday, Robert Plant!
Not yet. 1 week. That was called In the Evening. Well, it comes the time now where we really got to thank you for hanging about for 4 years, you English folk, and you French people for hanging about since, I don't know, how long? I would like to thank everybody who's come from everywhere to create kind of an atmosphere that we've had. The other bands who've been with us. Commander Cody, good. Todd, Keith and Ronnie, Peter Grand. Thanks everybody.
In his opinion, from what I heard, he was happy for Zeppelin to have such a long hiatus, 2 years without playing live together. Robert Plant said that he would be happy to actually do, just a few shows in clubs in England or something, and next thing he knows he's in front of 200,000 people doing a Knebworth, 2 nights only show with 200,000 odd people, like that's, mate, I'd be nervous, anyone would be nervous during that. I don't know any musician that would be nervous in front of 200,000 or more people. So Rob Plant was a bit nervous, but I think the band played well, Jonesy, John Paul Jones, looked a bit like a croupier in Vegas on his day off, with the white suit, and the Archer haircut from Song of Man's the same sort of. And I think the band played well. I think Bonzo, in my opinion, although apparently at the time he was partying pretty hard, I think Bonzo, was pretty solid. If I can say this, Bonzo, John Bonham was the most solid musician in the Knebworth gig, dare I say. But they had some cool numbers on there. I'm just going to go through some of them now. I think I covered Pagey, Robert Plant, Jonesy and Bonzo. So I just want to go through, I have the DVD here of the first night. And you'll see on my channel I've been putting up a couple of posts recently, and these songs I've been putting up, rather not posts, have actually been from the second night, which footage. And at that time, we've got to paint the scene here that punk had come in, like the Sex Pistols and that, and Zeppelin, they've been playing since 1968, now it's 1979, it's 11 years, and apparently they were calling people like Led Zeppelin classic rock artists rock dinosaurs. So, it was a big thing for Zeppelin to come back after Robertson's family tragedy and do a concert like this. And I just want to go through some of the tracks on the first night. And before I say anything, one of my favourite Zeppelin songs, Tangerine, is actually on the second night. And I'm going to actually try and get you guys the footage of that. Believe it or not, some people have commented on my channel or whatever and said that, mate, that clip's not very clear, or this, or it's not a very good clip. Well, if you may know, some of these I actually had to pay big money, like this for example. Some of these rare Zeppelin videos and audios I have, like the Antrabata sessions and etc., I had to pay big money for those, so please don't think I'm being dodgy on my channel. But I just want to go through the first night of the Led Zeppelin 1979 Knebworth concert, and we have Song Remains the Same. So that's Pagey with his double neck guitar. I have one of those myself, and Rob Plant apparently said in an interview about that particular gig that he was really nervous, obviously, as you would, and Rob Plant actually said that some of the songs they were playing, they played them too fast, like Celebration Day, which is the next song, or Stairway to Heaven, which you'll see on my channel. One of the songs, not bagging it whatsoever, but I think for some reason they just, nerves or, dare I say it, Zeppelin were a bit rusty. They played some of the songs a little bit fast maybe, and some a little bit slow. But to Rob Plant out there, I'm not sure which ones were too slow, but I'll take your word for it. And can I just say this now, hopefully I'm not looking too much like a fan, but in the place where I play with my band, I actually know a guy, hi Jim, and he actually is a reasonably famous musician from England in the 60s, Jimmy Royal, and hi Jimmy, and he actually helped us find our bass player for our band, and Cam, he's so cool. You guys are going to see some clips soon coming from my band Black Satin. It's going to be wild. And Jimmy Royal actually knows Zeppelin. He knew Zeppelin, knew the Who, and I actually, you know, I would call myself, you know, an associate, whatever you call it, acquaintance with Jimmy Royal. I said, "Hey Jimmy, what's Robert Plant like?" And he said, "Oh, he's just an ordinary bloke who's made a lot of money." You know, that was his answer. I thought he'd say something like, "Stairway to Heaven was written, you know, in England on the stairway," or something like that. But no, he just said, apparently Rob Plant's an ordinary bloke who's just made a lot of money. So he literally knows Rob Plant. And then the next song is Black Dog. I personally think they did a good version of Black Dog on this concert. It's pretty solid and straight. They've been playing it, you know, since 1971, so you'd think they'd have it nailed.
Down and out. Spent my money, took my car, started telling her friends she's gonna be I don't know, but I've been told big leg woman ain't got no soul. Come my way. I need a girl to hold my hand. Well, tell me no lies, make me a happy man. You got it. Keep on choosing. Keep on, keep on, keep on, yeah. Keep on, keep on.
And Nobody's Fault But Mine. That's a great version of that song live. Rob Plant playing the harmonica, and I just think they really nailed that song. And you have John Paul Jones with the multi-string bass guitar playing the rhythm for the Nobody's Fault But Mine. And the next song is Over the Hills and Far Away. Now I think that personally that one's maybe one that's a little, they played it a bit fast, dare I say. But none of these are easy songs to play live. I'll tell you, I don't know if anyone watching my channel has ever tried to play Led Zeppelin songs live, and mate, they are not easy, to be fair. Next song is Misty Mountain Hop. Well, apparently in one of the nights that I have filmed, I think it's this one, the first night, they had some sound issues with Misty Mountain Hop, and Pagey was playing like a white and black Explorer guitar similar to the Edge from U2, and they just had some sort of, you know, as you do, yeah, that happens with bands. Sometimes you have feedback, something's buzzing, you know, it could be the lighting in the electrics of the stage affecting your instruments or microphones, so that sort of stuff happens. And also, Since I've Been Loving You, I actually like these style. This is where Zeppelin came from, the original 1970 version, where they wrote in Bronner Cottage. You can see my review there. One of my first reviews was Led Zeppelin 3, and they did Since I've Been Loving You or Led Zeppelin 3 in the Bronera Cottage. But since then they did a cover of their own song called T for One. And T for One's similar to Since I've Been Loving You, but it's a little bit more bluesy, a little bit more, you know, cocktail bar lounge, you know, crooner lounge type, whatever, mellow lounge, whatever you want to call it. And Zeppelin somehow melded Since I've Been Loving You and 10 Years Gone, and the two separate songs in the studio. But when they did that live in 1979 at Knebworth, and also especially 1980, in the last tour they did at Europe, they really do an awesome job of Since I've Been Loving You. The next one's No Quarter. Apparently they were trying to get Jonesy to cut down a little on his piano solos, but I have a hunch that one was a little bit long. 10 Years Gone, that's not too bad a version of 10 Years Gone. I personally prefer the original on Physical Graffiti or the 1977 in Seattle version of 10 Years Gone, but that version of 10 Years Gone on Knebworth the first night, 1979, is not too bad. Hot Dog! Yeah, that's a good song, and that's a pretty good version of it, to be honest. You know, not many people know this, but Jimmy Page, on his Fender Telecaster, had what's called a B-bender. So when he did all that country sort of sounding guitar, that sort of and he did that in 10 Years Gone on that guitar and Hot Dog, whereas he's using what's called a B-bender, which makes the guitar bend like a lot higher than it normally would. The Rain song, so Pagey just pulls out the twin neck and starts playing the Rain song. It's a pretty good version from memory. And then he also did White Summer, Black Mountain Side, and then of course finishing the set with Kashmir. And then Trampled Underfoot, in my opinion, is one of the best Zeppelin songs live, especially in 1975 and 1979 and 1970 and 1980 as well. The live versions of Trampled Underfoot I'm a fan of, especially when you've got the video footage with the coloured lights. I'll bring that out soon on my channel. You've got the live version of Trampled Underfoot with the coloured sort of disco lights, and Jones is just going for it, holding it together, playing with his feet and hands as usual, and Page is just ripping up the neck, and Bonzo is just solid as a rock. And Sick Again is a song they tend to play live a lot. It's a pretty good version. They actually put it on one of the more last recent Zeppelin DVDs. Achilles' Last Stand, great version. Some people, Robert Plant himself, I've heard, says that that's one of his favourite Zeppelin songs live. He said you just need to hear Led Zeppelin live, like talking about the musicians, Bonzo, Jonesy and Pagey, playing live and locked in together, you know, in that riff. And the only thing I'd say about Achilles' Last Stand live is, for some reason, I don't know what it was, hopefully this isn't blasphemous saying it, but they found some harmonizer thing for Robert's voice, because Robert Plant had to have some operation on his throat. He had nodules and stuff, and so Rob Plant couldn't sing, you know, way up in the sky anymore, and so he had, you know, a different voice. He was getting older too, and they, for some genius, whoever it was, he reckons they thought, let's put a harmonizer on Rob Plant's vocals so he could sing the high and the low. It sort of worked a bit in the song Hot Dog, but in my opinion, Achilles' Last Stand, when the harmonizer is doing the lower octave of Rob Plant singing, not a fan, to be honest. And then Jimmy Page does his guitar solo with his violin bow, because they're cutting down the songs, they stripped them down. They didn't have the long version of Dazed Confused, whereas they would do like No Quarter a bit longer. And then also In the Evening, great song, great version. I think they did really well on that live. And then Stairway to Heaven, and they always finish the show with Stairway to Heaven. And then they did some encores, which were, and apparently at that time, Zeppelin were classed as rock dinosaurs, you know, compared with people like AC/DC and the Sex Pistols and that. And so Robert Plant came out and said, you know, do you want to do the dinosaur rock? Meaning, you know, can us old people still rock? Is anyone with me? And they did an encore that night of Rock and Roll, short version, Whole Lotta Love, short version, and then Heartbreaker. In my opinion, that version of Heartbreaker is really, really good. That's why I bought that DVD. So thanks for watching today. I'm glad you enjoyed the broadcast. We thank you, your podcast, broadcast, whatever it is. We thank you for watching, and I'm going to bring you something awesome next time. Keep watching, and thank you for liking and subscribing on our channel. Bye.
Thank you very much. We'll see you again real soon. Bye.